Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome back to my Saturday Hodgepodge, my weekly ramble about books, bookish things, booktube, YouTube, whatever happens to be on my mind during the week. I thought I'd start off this week by talking about the books I've been reading. There are no new titles in my list, but I have actually finished some of these books. I finished Unspeakable, the story of Junius Wilson, by Susan Birch and our own Hannah Joyner. This was a part of a big group read that we did on Voxer that was organized by Sean the Book Maniac. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this book today or do a full review because I think we have something planned about this book that'll be kind of a video that's coming up in the future. I will just say this is a fairly remarkably important, subtle work of history. It's one of those things, one of those books of history that you pick up and you think, this is an interesting topic. This is a story that needs to be told. And then you feel and you begin to realize how much resonance a small story has on big picture issues in American history and in American society. And I really was impressed by it, and I enjoyed reading it. I did finish that. I also did finally finish The Saddest Words, William Faulkner's Civil War by Michael Gora. This book got better. At the end, I think last week I mentioned that I was disappointed in the book. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It got better. I will do a review of this and another book I'm reading this month for Nonfiction November, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And I'll just kind of do a review or a discussion of literary biographies, and I'll talk about the Gora book in more depth when I do that. My other buddy read this month is SPQR by Mary Beard. This is a buddy read I'm doing with Noel, the Book Rook, and we're hopefully going to finish this book up this month. I haven't finished it yet, but I should have it finished by Sunday. I think we're about 130 pages from the end. I have been enjoying this. I will say that, and this is, I guess this is typical, or maybe it's an indication of some kind of shallowness on my part, but the closer to the Roman Empire, as in having emperors, we've gotten, the more I've enjoyed it. And that's probably because there's a greater level of historical detail and information that's made that part more enjoyable. And then the other book I for sure wanted to get to this month was Balzac's Lives by Peter Brooks. I did start this. I'm about 100 pages in. It's only about 200 pages long. Hoping to finish this up on Monday and then make this a part of the video I'm going to do about literary biographies when I talk about the book by Gora, the Faulkner book as well, so I want to do that there. I don't think there's any chance I'm going to get to Angela Davis's Our Prisons Obsolete this month, but it is not a very big book, and I'm hoping to get to it next month, if not this month. So there you go. That's kind of where I am in reading. As you're probably aware, I watch a lot of BookTube. I don't always get to videos in a timely manner, and I don't watch, of course, every video everybody puts out, but I did see that Melissa from Fully Booked last week in her Friday kind of bookish video rambles, reading wrap-up, had brought up a topic I thought was pretty interesting, and that had to do with elitism in reading, kind of snobbishness and how we look at the books that other people read compared to what we read. In her situation, she basically said, I think, that it wasn't something that she thought about until a friend of hers who had, a degree that involved her actually studying literature kind of expressed to her how disappointed she was that, more people didn't read what this friend of hers considered to be serious and important works of literature. This is a topic that has come up several times on BookTube, the idea of snobbishness and what you should be reading, what you shouldn't be reading, and do we put pressure on ourselves to read things that are literary, and it kind of devolves down to the whole idea of referring to things as literary fiction and genre fiction, and the division we create there, and the divisions that creates then in our minds about reading. And I will confess that I am a recovering book snob. I am a recovering book elitist. Before I joined BookTube, I essentially thought the books I read were just inherently better than the books that other people read, and that other people were just reading kind of, trashy, garbagey books. And I had a tendency to look at other people's reading that way. And as a matter of fact, I came to BookTube to find people who read like I did, who read books, the kind of books I did. And I did find those people. I did kind of join that community, and that's been great. But along the way, I've also followed hundreds of booktubers who don't read what I read, who read genre fiction, who read romance and YA, and who read mystery and true crime and sci-fi and fantasy and genres that I really had stopped reading and had begun to look down on. And one of the things that I've learned from lots of people on BookTube, lots of people I respect, is that we really shouldn't view books as good books or bad books and assume that genre fiction is necessarily worse than literary fiction, that the writing can't be as good, that the insights can't be as good. This doesn't mean that if you don't like genre fiction, you have to go out and read it, just as it doesn't mean if you don't like literary fiction, you have to go out and read it. But just those kind of, guardrails I think we put up in our minds about what's good and what's not, what's worthy and what's not, what we should be reading and what's not. I do think and credit BookTube a lot for kind of breaking those stereotypes that I had in my head. It is something I do still fight occasionally, and there are still genres that I have to remind myself that that my view of them is unfair, and my view of them is based on on not a lot of reading in those areas. And I don't think there will ever be a time when romance becomes a genre that I go to, or in which I embrace YA, or probably even fantasy anymore, even though that used to be a primary area of my reading. But I do think it's kind of an interesting thing in how we approach people and how we talk to people about books, whether it's through our channel or in real life. In real life, I didn't have anybody who read the same kind of books I read. I didn't have anybody who I thought read literature in my real life, and so I came here and I found those people. But in the process, I think my mind has been opened quite a bit. So let me encourage you not to look down on the reading of others, no matter what it is. Not to look down on somebody who says they only read literary fiction because that's what they like, and not to look down or judge people who only read true crime or self-help or YA. That those are things they choose to do, and I do think that there are insights and things to be learned and experiences to be gained and minds that can be broadened by almost any genre of fiction, any area of fiction we read, and anything that we read, and obviously nonfiction included as well. And so I really thought that was interesting. It made me think about that topic in Melissa's video made me think about myself and how I think about my own reading and books, and how I've tried to kind of overcome bookish elitism thanks to BookTube. So I just wanted to make sure I talked about that. I'll leave a link to Melissa's video down below. I thought it was really interesting. And by the way, if you haven't checked out her channel, it's called Fully Booked, and you should go by and check it out. And so like I said, I'll leave a link to that. Also, there's been some kind of weird things happening with YouTube in general. Some affecting everybody, and some just affecting me. You may know, you may have gotten that email from YouTube that they're going to start essentially putting ads on anybody's video they want to, whether you have qualified for their revenue sharing program through Google AdSense, whether you've been able to monetize your channel or videos or not. They've just announced they're just going to put ads on anybody's video anybody's videos they want to. I think this is a bad move, and I think this is a part of a long-term kind of strategic planning thing that YouTube has had in the works to a certain extent, going back to them increasing the standards for monetization, which demonetized a lot of channels who didn't quite make the new standards, which I assume they may move to raise the standards for monetization even more. But in just putting ads on people's channels who aren't going to make any money. So in other words, they're going to put an ad on your video and they're going to make all the money from that ad and share none of it with you. And that may seem inherently wrong, and I don't like the idea. I think it's bad for the creators. I think it's bad for the relationship between the creators and YouTube. But I have to tell you, it's their platform, and we do live in a capitalist society, and they are providing the means for which we can create these videos and share them with one another. And in a sense, we're living in their world, and they get to make the rules. I wish that they would change their mind about that, because I think there's something ethically wrong about it, even if the rules and the law say there's nothing wrong with it. In addition to that, I had a weird thing happen on my channel. I do look at my analytics. I don't know why, but I find the analytics really fascinating, and I'm fascinated by which videos that I've made in the past continue to get views, and wonder why some videos get views. By the way, I'll just say that long term, if you're thinking about your BookTube channel, I will tell you that reviews long term continue to get views for much longer than anything else. I love doing tags. I love doing my Saturday Hodgepodge videos. The truth of the matter is, once one Saturday's gone by, I don't get very many views, after that. But book reviews and book discussion about authors, those get views for a very long period of time. So if you're thinking about doing those, and if you're thinking about views, take that as kind of something to think about. That in the long run, you'll end up getting more views on those things that are perhaps we might think of as more serious than tags and weekly wrap-ups and TBRs and hauls and things like that. But the reason I brought this up is that last week I noticed that there was a video showed up in my list of the most watched videos for the last 28 days that I forgot that I even made. It was called Reading History, and I made it in the first year I had a BookTube channel, which I believe was 2018. And I made that video for Nonfiction November, and it basically was just me talking about history books and different categories of history books that you could read. And all of a sudden, just on one day, week before last, that video got something like, 240 views in one single day. I have no idea why that happened, and I was wondering if anybody else has experienced anything like that, who pays enough attention to their analytics to figure that, to see that happen. That was very strange. And the other thing I want to ask you about has to do with, again, going back to the issue of monetization. Maybe I should make this one of those surveys that I put in my YouTube community thing, but I thought I'd ask it in a Saturday Hodgepodge video because these are the videos that my subscribers are most likely to view in kind of a real-time way. And it has to do with banner ads. You know what the banner ads are? They show up they would show up like right here in my video, kind of below my chin, and you can click them away, and there's just this kind of like print advertisement for things. And I was wondering how you felt about banner ads, because I'm kind of thinking about changing the way I do advertisements or the way I monetize my channel and do advertisements. I was wondering your feeling about banner ads. Are they something you just ignore? There's something you click away? Is it something you find annoying? So if you could please, I really would appreciate your thoughts on that. If you could leave your thoughts about banner ads down in the comment section below, I really appreciate it. I did put banner ads in my last Saturday Hodgepodge video. It was kind of an experiment. Number one, to see if anybody said anything about it, and nobody did. And number two, to see if it made a difference in terms of ad revenue generated by those videos, because I am donating the money that I get via ad revenue through my channel, and I thought if I could find another way to maybe boost that money that I can donate in a less irritating way than having ads maybe before, after, middle of the video, that I would want to do that. So please let me know what you think about banner ads. If you hate it, I certainly won't do it, because that's not the most important reason why I have a BookTube channel. And then I want to talk about a couple of things I've seen on BookTube recently, and that has to do primarily with discussion videos I've seen and on lots of different channels about Thomas Mann's modernist novel, I guess, Magic Mountain, or The Magic Mountain, sorry. I've seen lots of people, lots of booktubers that I follow have been reading that book recently, and I saw a great video from one of my favorite channels, and that's the PearlReview. Did kind of one of her classic, cut up with all kinds of scenes and pictures while she talks about the book video. And then I noticed also that Ami 1649, or Ivan's Nightmare, I think that's his channel name, had done a discussion about why it's so long and why it's so great. And I believe that Matthew at the Mayberry Bookclub has been doing a read-along, and I've never read anything by Thomas Mann, to be honest with you, much less The Magic Mountain, which is a really long kind of modernist book, and oftentimes modernist books, I think, are the code word for a book in which not a lot happens, but a lot is said. And I had no idea it was even in that category, that it might fit in that same category of modernist classics like Remembrance of Things Past by Proust, or maybe Ulysses by James Joyce. And I will tell you that those videos have made me really interested in perhaps picking up The Magic Mountain. I might start with something a little shorter by Mann to see if he and I agree with one another, and if I could take on a larger book. But I thought those videos were really interesting, and I've enjoyed listening to them, even though, you know, I haven't read that book and I never really had any intention of reading that book. So I'll leave links to their channels down below, and thank you for the education about that novel. And then I had one new channel recommendation for you, and that channel has a great name. It's called Lost for Words, and I forgot to write down the name of the woman whose channel it is, but she is right now essentially making videos in which she reads Emily Dickinson's poetry, one poem per video, and she creates like a stylized video to go along with that poem. And I just thought the ones I've seen are just really brilliant and really great. So I'll leave a link to those, to a couple of those down below. If you're interested in Emily Dickinson, interested in seeing, you know, a really creative person using their BookTube channel in a way much different than I do, please go and check out that channel, and subscribe and check out the videos. Like I said, I'll leave a link to that down below as well. All right, that's it. I'm hopefully going to finish up my reading for Nonfiction November the next couple of days. I will probably do what was supposed to be the Friends tag, but Steve Donahue tagged me to make it the Enemies tag, because he and I are sworn enemies. So I'll probably do that on Tuesday, and then Thursday I'm hoping to have my video about literary biographies, in which I talk about the Saddest Words, William Faulkner's Civil War, and Balzac's Lives, and talk about literary biographies a little bit on that day. And yeah, so, and then maybe some point next Saturday I'll do a wrap-up or a TBR for December. Anyway, look forward to your comments in the comment section below. Please, you know, again, let me know what you think about banner ads as a part of videos, in YouTube videos, down below in the comment section. And as always, thank you for watching.